Hi, this is Mark, and you're listening to Sports, Politics, and Occasionally Cats, Spoc. Welcome to our podcast today, where you will learn interesting and funny stories about sports, of course, and occasionally politics, but more importantly, stories about wonderful cats in Emmett's life. We're so glad you're here. You can follow us on all the Instagram sites and Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and wherever you get podcasts. Remember, it's sports, politics, and occasionally cats.
Hello, and welcome back to episode 2 of Sports, Politics, and Occasionally Cats. My name is Emmett.
And I'm Mark, and thank you for coming and joining us today. We've got an exciting show for you.
Today we'll talk about NFL players we admire, then MLB players we admire, and then we'll finish up with some cute Twiggy stories and even throw in a Logan story.
Is it going to be cute too?
Yeah.
It's got to be a cute Logan story.
Well, Logan's more handsome than cute.
Okay, a handsome, cute dog story. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So what's the first thing we want to talk about today, Emmett?
NFL players we admire. So, Dad, what are some players you admire?
Well, it's funny you ask. I just read an article about Alan Page. If you ever heard of him, he was a purple people eater with the Minnesota Vikings way back in the 70s. And part of the reason I admire him because he ended up being a Supreme Court judge for the Minnesota State Supreme Court.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude. So that's kind of an old style player I like. The other player I admired as I was growing up was Lenny Dawson. Cool Lenny. Have you ever seen that picture of him in the Super Bowl in the locker room sitting down drinking a Fresca and smoking a cigarette at halftime? He was pretty cool, Lenny. And then he did color commentary for the Chiefs for a number of years. And it was kind of cool. You'd bump into him around town. He was just as nice as could be. So he was a pretty cool player.
I'll be honest. Well, I'll be honest. With all the buzz around smoking cigars in the NFL, like Joe Burrow smoked cigars. Jalen Hurts, there's video of him smoking one after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's kind of a bro thing to do, to smoke a big stogie to celebrate.
Yeah, especially in the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry. That's a big cigar. They call it the cigar game.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Well, that's what I've heard, but
it must be true if you saw it on the internet.
I kind of wish KU and K-State have that kind of thing going where like, I mean, the KU-K-State rivalry is a big deal, and I don't want it to be as big as Michigan-Ohio State, because with that big of a rivalry comes players doing stupid things like standing on logos and trying to plant the flag, which that was horrible.
That never works well.
I mean, that was really horrible that Michigan did that, and it started a
big fight.
And it started a big fight, and it also started a big, like, teams all around the country that same day or weekend followed their footsteps and did that. And then a big brawl broke out between the two schools.
Not a good way to find a player you admire, watching all that kind of behavior, is it?
Yeah.
So who were some NFL players you admired?
I like Carl Nassib because I admire that he had the guts to come out as gay in the NFL. Like, especially in especially in the America we live in right now. That's definitely a big feat for him to do that.
Yeah, that was good. That was a big moment for him, I'm sure, and just the country in general, and certainly for people LGBTQ plus nation. It's good to have somebody come out and be brave like that.
And then I'm kind of biased, but Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes isn't perfect. This isn't exactly what happened, but that game against the Bills a couple years ago where Tony's foot was on the line and the game-winning touchdown was taken back. Now, I want to preface this with I am a big Chiefs fan, a big one, but Tony was offside, and that was the right call.
Yeah.
Yes, that reneged the game-winning touchdown, but it was the right call. Mahomes overreacted, so to speak.
Well, he was defending his players and his team, so maybe that's an admirable trait to have.
I like Travis Kelce, but he's become a hothead in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Do you ever see the video during training camp? He scored a touchdown, and I guess someone tried to grab the ball from him. He turned around and socked them in the head.
Is that 2 years ago? I think
Yeah.
in spring preseason camp.
That was the pre-Taylor Swift era.
Yeah. You think Taylor's been a good thing for Travis?
Yeah, and I'm kind of hoping they get married because that'd be great to have a cultural icon in Kansas City.
Yeah. Anybody else? What is it about NFL players that you use to judge who you admire? What are kind of the traits of players you look at that you want to admire? What kind of things do you like to see in them?
Like they're doing something bold. Like it was very bold of Carl Nassib to come out, and it was very bold of him to come out. It's very bold of it. I like kind of like when they're inspirational. Like Mahomes is very inspirational.
There you go.
Mahomes had an entire park built kind of on the east side of Kansas City that 15 into Mahomes built it or something like that.
His foundation, the Martin Luther King Park.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
We actually drive by that park each time we go to a game.
Yep, that's good. So they do things for the community, support their teammates. What else?
They're kind. I mean, and keep in mind a lot of the NFL players are Christians, but they may act like they're not. They may act like jerks sometimes. Well, I think part of that is NFL is a rugged sport, and the more rugged sports have people that act crazy. Like DK Metcalf is a Christian according to Wikipedia, but it feels like every other week he's in a fight with someone. It feels like.
So things that we look for in players we want to admire, they can control their emotions.
Yeah.
Know how to act on and off the field.
And Mahomes doesn't have a perfect record. Like it wasn't necessary for him to get in Crosby's face and antagonize him like that a couple years ago. But Mahomes is for the most part a good guy.
He's a great guy.
What we're trying to say.
Yeah, and he defends his team and defends his players and stands up for himself, won't be intimidated. Those are things that you got to be able to do as a football player.
I think part of why the league dislikes Mahomes so much is he gets a lot of calls his way, and
it's alleged. Yeah, I don't think he gets a lot his way.
I mean,
that would be agreeing to the bias that other people have.
I know
Mahomes and the Chiefs get off easy. They don't.
I mean, I'm going to give one example, then I promise I'll be quiet about this.
Is that a real promise? Can I get that in writing? You'll never bring that up again?
I mean, do you remember the game against the Bengals week 2, 2024 season, that pass interference call that gave the Chiefs the game-winning field goal? That was a legit call.
Yep.
I don't remember which player on our team it was, but he would have caught the ball had the Bengals defensive guy not gone his way.
Yep. And how about that holding call in the Super Bowl? That was a definite right call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think the Chiefs get any more favoritism than any other team in the league. But this year, it'll be the Eagles that'll get all the favoritism if there is anything. Oh, don't tackle Jalen Hurts. Oh, don't get near Jalen Hurts.
I'll be honest. I'm kind of scared that they're going to say the Chiefs dynasty is over.
Some people don't even want to admit we have a dynasty yet.
We won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. How's that not a dynasty?
How many Super Bowls did we go to?
Like
4 or 5?
I have not counted, in all honesty. It's been too many.
I think it qualifies as a dynasty, don't you?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I was kind of hoping we'd be like the Patriots dynasty. We'd stick around for like about 20 years and we'd be totally okay.
So you think Patrick Mahomes can play till he's 45 like Tom Brady?
I mean, Tom Brady did.
Yeah. As long as Patrick doesn't get hurt, which gets me to the point they need to keep a good offensive line around him.
Yeah.
We've seen how bad that works.
And like he's hurt his ankle a couple times.
Yeah.
Like the playoff game against the Jaguars a couple years ago, he hurt his ankle there, and then it's like and then we almost lost the game. He had a concussion in the 2020 playoffs against the Browns, and we somehow won that game. There is a play.
Yeah. I'm calling both games.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Just if Mahomes can stay healthy, and I mean, of course, to make it just like the Patriots dynasty, Mahomes would have to have a season-ending injury like Brady had in 2008.
You know who we had that injury against?
Chiefs.
Yep, first game of the season.
Yeah, which we're not hoping that happens. Don't worry.
No injuries to Patrick Mahomes. Keep him healthy.
Yeah.
Get a good offensive line around him.
I just
run it back.
And show people that our dynasty's not over. That's
right. Let's keep it running. So we talked about some NFL players we admire. Anybody in the MLB you admire?
That's a little harder one because
what about Salvi?
Salvi, yes, Salvi definitely. Witt is Bobby Witt, not the other Witt that I don't like.
That retired recently.
Yeah. I mean,
we need to forgive Witt.
Well. I mean, he was a total jerk on his way out of Kansas City.
Yeah, that wasn't very admirable, was it? But Salvi's a good man. How about him stopping and playing wiffle ball with some kids last year? Wasn't that pretty cool?
Or him sticking up for Witt when he was, I think he was a single shy of a double cycle or something.
They brushed him back.
And the pitcher hit him, and then Salvi, and then when the D-backs manager came out and tried to argue that after Schreiber intentionally or not intentionally, but based on the fact that the whole team was mad that Witt got hit, is probably intentional. Let's be honest.
Well, let's just say he defended his team's honor. How about that?
The manager of the D-backs came out and argued with the umpire. Salvi went over to Torrey and flat out yelled at him. It was like, go Salvi.
Yeah. Salvi defended his team.
How about you? Are there any players you admire?
I like Salvi. I think he's got a lot to admire. He's done a lot for the team. He's a good, strong leader. That's the kind of player you like. Back in my day, Roberto Clemente was a pretty admirable guy. Did a lot for his native Puerto Rico. Was a good ball player. I'm trying to think. Oh, you know who I admire too?
Aaron Judge.
That home run he hit against Sororis that you and your brother and I saw. Whew, about crooked my neck watching that thing take off like a rocket out of the stadium. That was a pretty big hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was. Once Judge hit that big home run, I was like, okay, we're going to lose this game.
It's going to be a long day, and it was, and we did. Yeah, Aaron Judge seems to be a good guy. It's hard for me to admire any Yankees. I'm just not a big Yankees fan. Hate to hold that against them, but Kansas City and the Yankees have always had a big rivalry.
Yeah, the one thing Judge is, for the most part, I admire Judge because he's a Methodist like I am, and he's a nice guy. The one thing I don't like he did, and I promise there's a point to the story. Last season, they're playing the Brewers in Milwaukee, and Judge was a person ground into a double play. And they threw it to second base, got Judge. Judge was sliding in second base with his hand like this and blocked the ball and interfered, and it didn't call it. Well, in the post-game show, he said, well, that's the way I always fly into second base. It's like, dude, you just interfered with the game. You can't – just because you do that doesn't mean that's the right way to do things.
You got to play hard, play aggressive.
Yes, but you can't interfere, and he's not taking any accountability for the fact that he interfered with play.
Well, he's not going to admit it. So what other MLB players do you like? I like Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think. I can maybe talk briefly about players I don't admire.
Well, we're not going to bring up Jazz Chisholm.
Okay, fine. We don't have to.
We got close to the Yankees and didn't bring up Jazz Chisholm. Jazz tends to get a little, we talked about the NFL players keeping their emotions in check. I don't think I'd put that moniker on Jazz Chisholm. He seems to lose his temper. Like that time he slid into third base. And
then Michael tagged him too hard.
Yeah, right.
And he threatened to slap Michael. Well,
he jumped up and pounded his feet, stomped, and screamed.
I'll be honest. I told many people this, and I'm going to keep it. And I'm going to say the not so violent version of what I've been telling people. But if Chisholm does that to Garcia and slaps him, Garcia has every right to turn around and retaliate in any way.
I think the commissioner would take a different view of that.
I mean, but Chisholm won't get in trouble because he's a Yankee.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from Jazz Chisholm.
Yeah. So yeah. I definitely feel like, let's see. I know these guys aren't current players, and I'm gonna sound biased by saying this, but I don't care. I liked Haas. Haas was incredible. I like Moose. Moose was incredible. Locaine, Esky, Gerard.
Oh, Lorenzo Cain. He was the upright guy.
Again, I'm sounding biased because we live in Kansas City, but
yeah, well, they're good players to admire, and it's great that they've kind of come back and connected with Kansas City again.
Yeah,
even in retirement, that's kind of cool.
We actually went to a Savannah Bananas game,
and who was there?
And we saw Haas, Moose, and Gordo all in the span of 2 hours. It was great.
That was great. And you got to admire Alex Gordon. He really stuck with one team for his whole career. Stayed in the community. That's great.
I'm kind of hoping. So this is kind of a side question. Which Royals from our 2015 team would you hope they retire their numbers? Salvi for sure.
Yeah.
Gordo maybe?
I'd probably say Salvi would be my leading candidate for a retired number just because he's spanned so many years. He's been the first captain on the team in a long time.
Yeah.
He's probably Hall of Fame. I think he's a Hall of Fame candidate catcher.
Yeah.
And so if he gets into the Hall of Fame, that definitely ought to get his number retired.
The question is, will the league, who favors the Yankees, allow small market Kansas City to have someone in the Hall of Fame? That's the question.
They need to be objective. It's not. It's the sports writers. So what we need to do is get a write-in campaign to get all the sports writers out of town, looking at Salvi and his record and get him in. I think he's admirable. Plus, who wants to be number 13? They need to retire 13.
I'll be honest. I know Gordo wasn't as big a part of our 2015 run as Salvi was, but Gordo spent his entire career with the Royals, and that's the prerequisite for having your number retired. You basically have to spend your whole career with one team. That's basically the way it works. Fans loved him. He had many skilled and athletic plays in left field. It's like Gordo needs to have his number retired too. Hosmer wasn't. Hosmer was a part of our big 2015 team, but he wasn't. But he didn't spend his whole career here, and he went to and he bounced around, and he
went to San Diego. Then he bounced around a little bit before he retired. But I think Gordo and Salvi are two leading candidates to get their numbers retired. By the Royals.
Maybe they'll at the new Royal Stadium they'll have a statue of Salvi up or something.
Ooh, there you go. They need a statue of Salvi.
I'll be honest. And so I know this isn't on our list, so we can talk about it briefly if you want.
I can put it on the list. Will that make it easier to talk about?
It's fine. So where would you want them to build the new stadium? For me, I'd be happy if they built it at the Sprint campus in Johnson County, because for one thing, we'd be 10 minutes from the ballpark. And 10 minutes from the ballpark, if they build a stadium in Johnson County, we get first dibs on tickets for the new stadium, which would be awesome. And they are the Kansas City Royals.
Not the Kansas State Royals.
Kansas.
I'm voting for Washington Square Park. I like the idea of a downtown ballpark where you can get around and go do things before and after the game. If they build it out at the Sprint campus, I don't think it'll be harder to get to.
Although
not for us, it'll be easy. We'd just get on our bikes and ride down the street. But I think being downtown, being around Union Station and the what am I trying to say? Crossroads District, East and West Crossroads would be great. You're on the streetcar line, so we can drive over, get on the streetcar and take it down. So that's my vote. Them there, and then the Chiefs either build or renovate, or build a new one, at where they're at in Jackson County or renovate Arrowhead. That's my vote.
I'll be honest. I won't be upset if they build it where you said. Just the place I just don't want it to be is up in Clay County because wherever north of the river they're talking about. They're talking somewhere north of the river.
Yeah, Clay County.
The problem with that is we live here in Prairie Village, so we are 20.
Don't tell them where they live. If they don't like our show, they could show up unannounced.
I didn't say what street. We already drive 20-25 minutes to get to the ballpark already, and that's and I'm going to be living on my own someday, and someday I'm going to want to go to a ball game, and I'm not going to want to drive 25 minutes to the ballpark. But if they put it north of the river, that's like a 45-minute ride up there, and that's going to be even less convenient than where we live right now.
And it's about a 30-minute drive to the Legends. I hope they don't move either.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah. Sorry,
there's nothing out there.
County Legends. Yeah.
There really isn't much out there to begin with. Yes, there's the Legends, but once you get past the Legends, it's rural Kansas, and it's not worth it.
It just doesn't seem the same.
And
I think there'd be a cool vibe with a baseball stadium downtown.
Yeah,
and your mom's office is right across the street.
Yeah, just the one thing I want is a parking lot for, and they can make it a parking lot for season ticket members only, and they could have a parking lot and we could tailgate. That's what I want, because we've got a very good tailgating. We've got a very good setup for the Royals home opener. We go to Joe's Kansas City, get barbecue, and sit down at the ballpark and have a beer, have some barbecue, and we go into the ballpark.
Yep, that is nice to tailgate both for the Royals and the Chiefs.
And it is going to really stink if we have to. It's going to really stink if we can't do that at the new stadium. Anyway, I should probably get off my soapbox on that one.
That's okay. Well, that's a good topic. So we should be getting a decision any day now. The deadline for the Star Bonds in Kansas was June 30th. They extended that, and both teams have said they'd like to make a decision sooner rather than later. So
yeah,
keep my fingers crossed we hear something soon.
And this is a fun fact I heard on a Royals broadcast, and then I promise I'll move on from this after that. But so
is that a real promise? Pinky promise?
So I think it was Ryan Lefebvre. We were playing a game against the Twins one summer. It was a sunny day, and he made a comment that it is harder to hit home runs in a new stadium for the first few years because I guess all the concrete's new. It's hard to hit a home run. So that
doesn't make sense.
That's what he said.
Well, I'm just saying that's like our buddy Rex saying, "No, but look at that planet moon. It looks so neat." So
I don't know.
I don't think hitting home runs has anything to do with the concrete. It's just probably players getting used to the dimensions of a new ballpark.
So maybe we could.
Anyway,
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with the new ballpark. If it's a big, expansive park like Kauffman, or a little bit of a bandbox like Camden Yards.
Yeah,
so we'll see. It'll be fun.
They could maybe put how the Astros have Tunnels Hill in the outfield.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they could have that in the new ballpark.
Yeah.
And make it really hard for outfielders of opposing teams to run up that hill, make it super steep like that or something.
Make it real slick.
Yeah.
You think the major leagues? I don't think they'd let them do that.
They would let the Yankees do that.
The Yankees aren't going to do that. I doubt that the Yankees would want to do that. But yeah, I hope it's an interesting kind of quirky, nice little stadium, got some character to it. And I hope the seating is like Kauffman, where you can actually sit in the seat and not have your knees up against the seats in front of you. A little bit of leg room's always nice.
And I've heard horror stories. Horror stories from Dad, because he and Joe went to Target Field one time, and To be fair, they were sitting in the upper deck, so it may have been a different story if they were sitting in the lower deck.
We've been to a few stadiums where the seats seem kind of crammed in.
Or I sat at the old Rangers stadium, and the seat next to me was broken, first of all. But that wasn't fun either. Anyway, so let's
get that new stadium decision. New stadiums.
Yeah.
Should they put a dome on the new Arrowhead?
I mean, I'll be honest. I would rather the Royals have a roof on their stadium because and I know roof isn't ideal, but the thing is, teams that have roofs on their stadiums don't have rain delays. Brewers, no rain delays. Diamondbacks, no rain delays. Rays, when they actually played at the Trump, no rain delays. Blue Jays, no rain delays.
You don't like rain delays, I take it.
Yeah, and I
you just don't like waiting for your baseball, right?
Yeah, and if they have fewer rain delays, that's the potential for fewer postponements, fewer doubleheaders at home. It's like win-win.
Okay, and let's put a retractable roof on the new Arrowhead so they can have a Super Bowl here. Maybe that'd be pretty cool, don't you think?
Yeah, and maybe we could play the we're a famous podcast and get free tickets to the Super Bowl.
Ooh, there's something to shoot for. Okay.
And I could hope and pray it's not the Raiders playing.
Oh, wouldn't that be a bummer? Get free tickets to the Super Bowl and the Chiefs are home that year.
Yeah.
So you want to wrap up and tell a couple cute cat and dog stories?
So we have a cat named Twiggy that you saw in the last episode.
She made a cameo appearance of sorts, kind of photo bombed our podcast. And she's the first cat I've ever met that sneezes. Like it's just things will be normal, and all of a sudden she go. It's like, okay, that's the first cat I've ever known in my life that sneezes. But okay, but she's a good little silver tick tabby cat.
Yeah, I have a funny Twiggy story from when the day I met her. So it was the day after the Chiefs lost to the Chargers in the last second thing, and Dad picked me up from school. And
was it a sunny or a cloudy day?
Sunny. and he told me about how Joe was mad about the game, and
why do you bring that up?
That's a little thing. And then
we'll explain that in a future podcast.
He brought up the new cat, and he started to hint at it, and he started going, and this is
me doing the
that's
fake
him.
Cat. Yeah.
This is like what, 6 months after Oreo?
Somewhere
around 6 months.
9 months, something like that.
And I'm like, no, it's too soon. No.
You were pretty shocked, devastated, and grieving from the loss of Oreo.
In my personal opinion, we needed to wait like a year before we got a new cat. But Mom was not going to let that happen. Anyway, so I came home. For the first few days, we trapped her in the basement just so she didn't freak out and go on the rug or the floor. But I went in my mom's sewing room and got to meet her, and then she actually came upstairs for the first time on Christmas Eve of 2018, and she's been upstairs ever since. And she's
kind of ruled the house ever since, right?
Yeah, and we had to be careful not to leave the garage door open, because if we leave it open, she will go and hang under my dad's car.
She likes to run into the garage. Yep.
It's the biggest pain in the world to get her to come out.
And when you say the garage door, you mean the door to the garage, not the actual garage door.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Because what if that cat got outside someday when we're supposed to be watching? Ooh, boy,
Mom would kill us.
Yeah, she might not kill us, but she'd be very displeased.
And then I blame it all on Dad.
That's what dads are for, to be blamed for everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have a dog too.
Yep, Logan. He's a cute dog. He's a handsome dog, as we say.
Yeah.
He's a big, cutty, a lovable lab.
And we used to, and this is a funny Logan story. There are words we can't say around him that I'm going to make sure. He's right there, so I can't actually say the words, but I'll spell
and sometimes we can't even spell like do it in sign language. He can't read sign language. Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of words you have to be careful not to say, because if we say the words, or he will notice and he will pick up on them and he will
get very excited and run towards the door and get anxious and jump around and run through the house. I think it's cute how every time the cleaners come for the house every other week, how he runs up and greets him and brings him his dog bone and drops it at his feet and wags his tail at him and wants to be petted.
Yeah, he definitely, and he's actually the first dog I've ever had. I used to be afraid of dogs for many years, and then I met my brother, my oldest brother's dog.
And what's his?
Kaufman.
And Kaufman as in like Kauffman Stadium, right?
And then we got a dog, and I've not been. I am so wary of dogs that aren't on a leash, and I've counted at least 5 people in our neighborhood that don't walk their dog on a leash, and I want to report those people so bad, but I'm not allowed to.
No, they're not a nuisance.
You can't walk your dog off leash. That's a rule.
It is a rule, but we're going to look the other way on that. These are nice neighbors. Their dogs are fine.
Yeah.
It's not like they're, rabid pit bulls charging people in the neighborhood. They're just kind of goofy dogs.
So I think that'll about do it for this episode.
Yes.
For our next episode, I was thinking we'd record somewhere over the long 4th of July weekend, and
maybe we'll talk about the All-Star team. That'll be about time for the All-Star team. Do you think Bobby will make the All-Star team?
I hope so, because
he should.
I'm not sure Salvy's making it this year.
Yeah, probably not. Maybe not.
And we'll be recording from a different location of the house. We wanted to give recording here a try, but it's too much of a hassle to move all the stuff behind us and rearrange. So we're going to work it out.
We're scouting out different locations to see which has the best vibe and what works well.
And
so we're going to talk about and then it'll be almost training camp, so we can talk about the Chiefs training camp coming up. How about that? And preseason games.
And I can complain about how the Chiefs better not go 0-3 in the preseason this year.
And I can talk about why preseason games aren't important.
I mean, because we
could have a little argument.
They went 0-3 last year in preseason.
And where did they end up at the end of the year?
Super Bowl.
Yeah, okay. So how much did it really matter?
Well,
not at all.
Anyway.
So we got a lot to talk about at our next show. So thanks for joining us on
Sports, Politics, and Occasionally Cats. We hope to see you next time. Please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast.
And check us out on YouTube, where you can find us under Spoc. And we look forward to having you like us and coming in and joining us for more shows. Thanks, Emmett.
Please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast, as it helps fuel our mission to be as popular as the Kelsey brothers. Thanks for listening to our 32.5-minute podcast today. Bye. Go Royals. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. Go Sporting. Go Current.
Yeah, that went well.
Hey, this is Mark, and thanks for joining us today on Sports, Politics, and Occasionally Cats. Spoc. What a great show we had today, Emmett. Those were wonderful stories. I can't wait to follow up and listen again on all the usual sites where you get podcasts. Go to Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you find your podcast. And it's Spoc. Sports, Politics, and Occasionally Cats. Wow, that's a great, funny story we had about that cat today, Emmett. Thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to hearing you on our next show.